comedians don't care what you talk about. They're always like, oh, it's funny. And I'm down to talk about it. Let's get in there.
Thank you guys for coming to our studio. And Judd, I wanted to start with you because you have had a hand in a number of documentaries. And just generally speaking, I'm curious, what makes a good documentary subject?
A good subject is someone who's just willing to be completely honest and isn't, trying to polish it up. I think a lot of documentaries are promotional pieces, which I enjoy. I'll go in knowing I'm not going to get the warts and all treatment, but I think when you're making them and your goal is to get to the core of their life and their experience, you really need someone who is game to share that, because sharing that is a real gift. What Maria does in talking about all of her experiences and turning them into comedy, it's something it's very special that she offers that up to people.
And Maria, you've shared parts of your life on a fictionalized version on Lady Dynamite. Of course, on stage, you are very candid about your life. Was it different opening up in a documentary? Did you feel like it was natural, or was it sort of a different instinct?
It felt very natural. I mean, it was just, Neil's a lovely person to hang out with, as is Judd. Very fun, very funny. And so it was just, I just felt embarrassed that I didn't have more, drama going on. I don't know.
I think there was enough drama.
There was enough drama. There's enough drama. Yeah. But where just concerned when somebody has a camera on you, like, what's my face doing right now? But otherwise, it was lovely.
Were there any topics that were off limits or you didn't want to talk about, or was everything fair game?
Everything's pretty fair game. I mean, we're in the back end of we're in the last inning of life. There's no need to to keep anything under wraps.
We weren't allowed to insult your dogs.
No talking about the dogs' weights, okay?
Their privacy is key.
Their privacy is key. If somebody, is showing you their belly, let's pet it, okay?
I think that's totally reasonable.
Yeah.
You were talking about mental health on stage before it was mainstream. Do you remember the first time you started talking about that on stage?
Yeah, I think my parents were very progressive in terms of mental health stuff. They sent me to a therapist when I was about 10, so I think I've always been relatively open about that, and comedians especially, I love it. It's the way I get my news. They talk about taboo topics, and you can kind of find out things that you might never hear about unless you pay a cover charge of $35 and buy 2 drinks. So I always, comedians don't care what you talk about. They're always like, oh, it's funny. Or so it wasn't a real risk, I didn't think, for myself.
I wish my parents let me go to a therapist at 10.
Yeah.
I wish they even asked me how I was feeling.
Right?
I forced my mom to go to the therapist once because she was just being so crazy. And then she went, and I said, how'd it go? And she said, he told me I was right about everything.
Yeah.
Do you find that people come up to you and share stories about their own mental health journey because you are so candid about it?
For sure, yeah.
What's that like?
No, that's after shows, you get people come, and that's so great. It makes you feel useful, and because that can be such a lonely experience to feel like you're the only person who's lost their minds, or the embarrassing part of like losing jobs, or not being ever, if you're disabled enough, being able to hold the job because the medications side effects. So yeah, and I'm down to talk about it. Let's get in there.
Neil and Judd, I want to ask both of you, what's your favorite part of the research process when you are making a documentary?
Well, on this one, it was just it's so exciting when you're making a doc to find something you didn't know existed or never saw before. So finding photos or video or old film, like her sister Sarah, I called her and she said, I don't think we have anything. And she sent me a box of what they have, and Maria gave me a box of what she had. She said, there's nothing in there. And there was film of them as children and film of their mother. And it's like, oh, yes, we have a movie, because otherwise it's just talking heads. But that is the pure delight when someone sends you something you didn't know existed.
That's hilarious.
When you can find childhood suicide notes.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
yes.
I had a suicide note as a, whatever, 10-year-old, you know.
It was a funny suicide
It was a
note.
good one, yeah.
funny,
It was also sassing back at the authority, whoever I thought was the man. It was saying something about school lunches and the quality thereof.
You were basically saying how you were going to commit suicide was by breathing in the aroma of the school food.
Which is so disingenuous, because I once went to the school cooks and asked them for the recipe for the grilled cheese.
Yeah.
I was like, how are you doing this? I'm going to bring this back to my mother. And I brought my mom the recipe, which was white bread, Velveeta, and Crisco. And she's like, I'm not making it.
Judd, do you have a favorite part of the research process?
I mean, I love just the treasure hunt of jokes, because I always thought I'd love to see Maria lay out her life through all the stand-up pieces she's told about what's happened to her. And so we just got to watch all of her specials and all these tapes of her first learning how to be a comedian. And you just find great jokes. And then you're also heartbroken that you can't put certain jokes in because it doesn't really relate to how we're telling the story, but you just want people to listen to it again because it's so great.
That was the first thing we did. There's a whole cut of this movie that's just jokes, from like childhood to now.
It's so, that I think is the hard part of it. It's embarrassing to look at yourself as a younger person and go, oh, come on, Maria. like just my pacing is very slow and a very, so I do improve over time.
But there were no videos of you really bombing.
No.
Like, it was hard to even create the illusion that you had a rough era of suffering on stage.
Yeah, no, I wasn't having that stuff taped. I wasn't, my weeks in Vegas on the Strip were not recorded.
You've had it cleaned off the internet.
That's when the headliner told me, he's like, you need to explain yourself. Like, tell them like you have like a schizophrenia and that you have all these people in yourself. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds so stupid. And then I never went to Vegas again.
You interviewed so many amazing comedians as well for this documentary. It feels like everybody was very excited to talk about you. What was the process like in reaching out to people, and did everybody say yes? Who were you? Anyone you were excited to see in there yourself?
Just texting your friends, right? That's kind of like.
Yeah, it wasn't hard. Everybody was very happy to talk about Maria. I don't remember anyone furiously refusing. At some point, it's just you don't want to bother too many people because it's kind of fun talking to them about Maria. I was glad that like Zach Galifianakis talked to us because you don't see him do a lot of stuff like that, but he so adores her and was excited to do it. And Stephen Colbert, who's always been such a giant supporter, it was nice to get him on there.
Yeah, no, I was amazed. That was very, because people are asked to do a lot of talking head stuff, and so that was insane that they would take the time.
The hardest part is just picking what to use. Like, you can listen to Gary Goldman talk all day long, or Tig Notaro. They're just so funny and so cool, and love Maria. Like, their whole interview could go in, so just like editing them down is the really hard part.
I was surprised to see Ted Sarandos was saying what a fan he was, and he was saying one of the biggest risks in his career was he just wanted to greenlight the second season of your show just because he's a fan.
He still regrets it.
Yeah.
It did not make them any money.
Well, Maria is his favorite comedian, and he was a big part of the Comedians of Comedy documentary happening, and Lady Dynamite getting greenlit. So he was very excited to talk about Maria.
I also love that there was a time when you could like bump into Ted in the hall and sell a show.
Yeah.
Now they're this giant thing. That's cool. They were a scrappy startup at one point.
Yeah,
I love telling that story.
Yes.
Definitely. You mentioned in Vegas, they were saying you should try to explain yourself. I'm curious, when did you feel like Hollywood started to get you and get your comedy?
I think it's I think it's the internet where you start people who specifically are like what you do. It's just your market finds you, so you don't need to have the gatekeepers as much saying, "This is comedy, this isn't." Because I mean that's been there's so many. There's so much. You couldn't get that far if you weren't a white heterosexual man in certain. So I think the internet really helped because I did a web series and then also people passing clips around. It makes a huge difference in people finding you.
When did you realize you were good at doing voices?
When I was a kid, I would mimic voices on the TV. So yeah, and because my own voice is irritating, and to some, I would be called like a baby, that I have a baby voice or something. So I would practice other voices.
Pearl drops tooth polish. It's a great feeling. Oh, oh.
When I was watching the documentary, it made me wonder, did you ever audition for SNL? Because it seems like that would be such a natural fit to have a place to do all these characters.
I did the Groundlings all the way. I got to the advanced part, and this is 25 years ago. This was in the Groundlings. There was no safety on set. So, like, I told the teacher, I was like, hey, I get kind of weirded out, like, when people kissed, or like, is there any kind of way we can talk about that? And she's like, everybody kissed for Maria for the next 3 hours of this class. Everyone kissed Maria.
Oh God.
I was like, wow, that's a way to go with it. And so I got through to the, and I do not have the personality for that. You've got to be able to be good at working with people, and also have the hustle to compete to get your idea in there. And it just wasn't for me. But I love SNL. Love to watch.
You also said that Judd had pitched you wanting to do a movie, and you said you didn't want to be that successful. Do you still feel that way? Are you still pitching her on trying to make a movie?
Always pitching.
Always pitching. I can't even remember. I think that was for the TV show. That was a premise.
Well, I always just put it out there, like,
Yeah.
would you have anything that you're, because that's generally all I do is I just say, because you need a lot of energy to like write a movie for yourself, and so like, do you have any vision? But working with Mitch Hurwitz and Pam Brady, who I've worked with on The Bubble, it must have been a real dream.
Oh
It's
my
the
God.
best of the best.
So lovely, but that is something I accept about myself, is that I don't have the energy, the medications I'm on. I just don't have it in me to do giant projects. So I do what I can do, and that's okay. That's okay. Yeah.
I just want to ask one more question before we have to wrap, but we're in the thick of award season. Judd, you just had a delightful bit as a presenter at the Golden Globes, but you also mentioned that we are living in a dictatorship, and I was curious, what is there anything that's giving you hope? Is there anything that society should be doing, we should be doing? What do you think the way is to remedy the state of the world we're living in?
That's a pretty simple question. I'm not sure I can solve all the problems of the world right now, but I think everybody has to, get involved and, wake up and look for ways to be positive and to stand up for what this country is truly about, because what's happening is completely heinous. It goes completely against all the values of the country, and there's a weird kind of hyper-normalization right now where like, hey, we're going skiing today, so I guess ICE isn't terrorizing everybody. So I think people just need to do something that Americans don't do very often, which is think long-term, get involved, and make sacrifices for the country.
Well, thank you so much, and it was great to have you guys at our studio.
Thank you.